Stuff and things.
Couple.
I like stuff and things.
They're quick. We'll be out of here in 20 minutes.
Nice. All right. No.
All right, I'll call to order the Board of Commissioners in our monthly finance meeting. It's January 25th, 2022. The time now is 10:05. We have Commissioner DeGroot and Commissioner Morris here, constituting the board on this day. We have several items on our agenda. Do we first find the meeting minutes from last month? Fine.
Terrible. But go ahead. Whatever.
Fine. Great. So we will move into item 3, if you're following along on the agenda, approval of Casita loan document. Vicki.
Okay, so County Council provided a promissory note. This is following up from a conversation we had in a County Council meeting last week. Terms are 1% for 5 years, interest payable annually, amount of $749,000. I have sent this note to Randy Cox at Casita, and his response was that he would run it by the board.
He has, and he has approval.
Okay.
Yep.
I have not received his signed copy back, but I wondered if we could get a motion today on it.
I don't have a problem with that. The only concern that Randy mentioned to me is I cannot cut the county a check until I get the county's check, because I just don't have that much in my bank account.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
I'm fine just doing an internal swap from risk.
Okay.
We'll just do an internal swap between risk and that COVID pandemic fund, so it's
Okay.
out of ARPA and into a loan situation.
So that there doesn't have to be an exchange of funds. He can just sign this and
Yes.
moving on. Okay. I think that that's
Is that
the.
okay with you? Is that okay with you?
I didn't hear it because they were going to, I was writing.
Oh, okay. We're going from an ARPA contract to a loan to Casita. And instead of exchanging funds, I am proposing that we do a journal entry, putting the money back in ARPA, and then giving the loan out to risk management instead of exchanging checks. I know there would be a better paper trail with checks, but
If they had a bunch of money in the bank, it wouldn't be a big deal, but they just don't have it. So we would be at 1.5 waiting for a check back. And so this is better. So I'll make a motion, we sign and execute the promissory notes with Casita for $749,000 upon receiving a signed copy back from them.
Second. So we have a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Do you want us to actually sign this one, or wait and then you just get it to us as?
I'll get it to you after I have their signature, and then I'll put it on as a prior approval on my basis.
That's perfect, yeah.
Sounds great. Okay. Internal service cost budget.
Okay, this is also follow-up from last week's admin budget, or meeting. I went ahead and removed the ARPA money from the commissioner's allocation. I also removed the some of the ARPA money that was in the commissioner's miscellaneous grant subdepartment. And so that brought the increase for the commissioners down to 6%, which is more in line with
Perfect.
And it spread, and because I moved it to finance, it has spread the internal service costs for ARPA throughout the county. There's still a couple spots that have a decent increase, but overall it's much more, the allocation's a little more in line with why we have the increases and who should be covering the costs.
Do we still have grants that move through the commissioners?
We moved the CDBGs through the Commissioner Miscellaneous Grant Subdepartment, and
Okay. Is Wolf still in there?
Wolf is in there.
And I don't think it needs to be done this year, but maybe as we're thinking forecasting out, having all of those things start running through some type. is there a grant sub-department for Natalie, or is she just within finance?
She's just in finance, but we split her personnel costs 50-50 between finance and the COVID pandemic fund, grant fund. We
Right
have a
now.
grant fund just for COVID-19.
Okay.
And that's gonna go away eventually, we hope, but, we can do that going forward.
I'm looking at, and this is, so just sidebar. So like the fairgrounds, they want to start applying for grants, kind of stuff, and they said, hey, we want to hire a grant writer. I'm like, no, you call Natalie, we have a grant writer. Well, if she starts doing things like that for other departments within the county, I mean, obviously it's probably not going to be public health, they're experts at their own thing, it's probably not going to be necessarily public works, they know how to do their thing, unless they truly just don't have the bandwidth and need help. But as the library's looking for this, or the museum's looking to try to go out for grants, or the fairgrounds is trying to look out for, and that's, Natalie's a tremendous resource for that. Having, I don't know, figuring out a way so that it's, I guess right now it's already allocated through everybody through internal service fees, but I don't know how we want to kind of just be thinking about how that's tracked.
I'll,
Or if we're gonna track it.
Well, and someday she may end up with an assistant or.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it
she's
does
getting
kind
to
of,
the point where she's got a lot on her plate even
Yeah.
right now.
it may make sense to have her, I think what you're getting at is having her be more like a standalone department and having that reflected in the accounting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily, I think it still needs to fall under finance.
Yeah.
And it still needs, the supervision needs to stay, and, all of that needs to stay the same, but
What we could
maybe
do,
at some point she has her own budget.
yeah, what we could do is she could track how many hours she's working for each individual department. And then we could do something like GIS does. They have a percentage per department that we charge internal service fees to, and not the whole county, because the whole county's not gonna use it.
I mean,
We could do something like that.
and even if she's working on stuff for us, I mean, I want her to go out and get stupid money for our county to do things. Or if, let's say, and I don't even know, pick an organization. X needs help within the community. Hey, we're not sure how to do this. Can you give us some help on how to do this? I mean, we want to do it ourselves, but we could use some mentorship. Say it's a Ross Ragland or whatever.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's agreement, like maybe
Yeah.
revisit that, but.
But
Not
it doesn't
today.
have to right now.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of forecasting.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
really
be
want us to
thinking
do a
about
good
that.
job at getting money into our community, and
Maybe think about that.
I think she's the gal.
Can I
Alright.
have approval on the internal service?
Done.
I'll second. So there's a motion to approve finance's recommendation for the internal services budget. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Klamath Falls Downtown Association, I asked Vicky to put this on there.
Okay.
I spoke with the director and there were a couple things that requests and sort of using the narrative, I guess, that we are a big, these buildings, this one and the one across the street are a big part of downtown.
Right. We're
You know,
members now, right?
Yeah, we're,
Yeah.
yes, I believe we finally became a member, which is sort of new, and so, they have a really cool opportunity to be the community to host the Oregon Main Street Conference, and they were looking for a sponsorship for that, which I, would really support. So I will move that we, sponsor this one-time Oregon Main Street Conference for $5,000 out of general fund, non-departmental.
So second, but would it need to come from general fund, non-departmental? Is there other areas where we could go for those dollars, Vicki? To support them for some type of a conference? Support, I mean, I guess I'm saying,
Are you thinking
it's a
of
one-time thing.
development?
Can it go to ARPA? Do we have any left over that's in revenue loss
No.
for that kind of thing? Is there?
No, not unless there's a formal, motion to not approve, one of the contracts that we already approved, so that might not happen. So,
For instance.
for instance, like a water cleaner. Otherwise, it's gone, and I'm not sure this fits anyway.
Okay.
Economic development, maybe,
No,
but
I'm a little.
I'm not thinking ARPA, I'm thinking economic development might.
Yeah, that was, I mean, we could probably make an economic
The next item though, if you choose to discuss that, is definitely.
Yeah.
So it's, it's fine. Go ahead.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes.
That brings people to our community, probably could be done with tourism dollars for that matter, because it's gonna put heads and beds, but
It probably could.
it's fine.
Okay, so the woman that's, a little, has,
That one's a bigger conversation,
Yeah,
right?
a
'Cause this,
bigger
we're talking
conversation.
about full-on annual,
right, sort of like we do
Support.
with,
that's like this,
SCOED.
that's comparable to
Yeah.
SCOED. I definitely don't think they have the same impact as SCOED, but
Well, I think, I think they took sort of a shot at a number. I do think it would be appropriate to do, because of, like I said, our buildings are a big part of it. Something, I think that is probably a little steep, but I would definitely be in for maybe a $10,000 annual
I don't even know
contribution.
if I'm in there for that. Mish, I'd like to think about that one more. I just don't, I guess I think that they're a great organization and they do a lot of cool stuff downtown. I just don't know as far as
Um,
that type of investment, what are we getting to the
Do you want them
taxpayer?
to come make a presentation, or do you just wanna think, or?
Yeah, well, probably both. I think that they probably need to, I need to know what are you guys doing with that
Okay.
money? Is
I'll
it
just
just to
ask him
cover
to-
salaries or?
Yeah, I'll ask him to come, because I have nothing else. Okay, or Cal sponsorship. This looks like something we do each year.
This was something that Donnie was a part of for a bit of time. I don't know how active this is, and I don't know who's doing. It made it onto my liaison list, and I haven't even reached out to them yet. I have no idea.
The last time we did this was 2 years ago. Did I get that on my agenda? We paid $375 in fiscal year 2020. We did not pay in fiscal year 21.
Should we, we have a lot of this kind of stuff going on, should we maybe let this one go? If we're not really actively participating, then.
Yeah, it was 100% Commissioner Floyd, so I hate to renew a membership for something I really don't even understand.
Yeah, I think we should just let this one pass.
If they reach out, then I can talk to them and maybe bring it back.
Yeah,
At a
why don't
later
we
date.
sort of say like they do in court, we'll dismiss it without prejudice.
Yeah,
And come back.
I just,
Okay, chamber membership. That one we do know.
we do that
We know
one
our
every year, and that's,
Chamber, so, I will move that we pay our $1,175 chamber membership dues.
what fund?
That's where it has been
It says
paid.
non-departmental general fund.
Second.
We have a motion, all in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Budget committee.
Okay, so the last few days, we've received quite a few applications, 3 of them to be exact, and I wanted to know if you would like to do some interviews, or do you want to leave it open until the end of the month? What's your pleasure on that?
I definitely wanna do interviews, and I think just sort of for fairness, cause we have been talking about it out there, maybe we should put out something that says, hey, we're gonna close this in a week, or so, to give people that had been thinking about it, but then I think we should do some interviews.
And
Yeah.
then put it on the website, that we're
Yeah,
closing
maybe
it
we
on the
can-
31st.
To be
Yeah.
closed on the 31st, that's only 6 days.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
as long as we put it out there fairly, hey,
Yep.
this isn't forever, it's in 6 days, and then go with whatever we want.
Cool.
And Vic, I think our staff can help with that.
Okay, we have a pending termination, and we're headed into budgets, and yeah, it's gonna be really hairy down there until we get it filled, and I think it's gonna take some time, so.
Yeah, and this is kind of interesting, I don't know any of these people, so that is actually very cool,
Yes.
I like that. Okay, so we have a approach on that, and then finally, opening in finance.
Yeah, we've had a resignation, and it's the position that Michelle Fuqua is in. She will be leaving on Monday, and so in admin today you'll have a request from HR to change the job description and pay a little bit. And in the meantime, I reached out to Haley in your office to see if she had any additional time available to help with workforce and some of the budget builder, data entry type stuff, and changes to personnel that need to be done within the system. And she said she was more than willing to do that as long as, you know, Sandy's back and everything's moving smoothly. She's great and she's good at that kind of stuff. And so
I talked to her a bit yesterday. She's just finishing up her stuff with Surveyor. She's pretty much done with that, which Haley, you're such a freaking rock star. But yeah, I guess for me, it's whatever Haley feels is within her bandwidth.
And HR
To do.
also reached out this morning and said that they'd be willing to do some work as far as updating the personnel and workforce as well to help us out, because the position we're losing did all of that.
It's just, not just them, but HR. I mean, I love how people pitch in the county, you know?
Yep.
And it's all across the county. People just like to step up and pitch in, and that's why we love them. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
So it sounds like you saw a problem and you found a solution. So good job to you too.
Thank you.
Your solution was a good one. Anything else for other county business?
That's the shortest finance meeting we've
I know.
ever had.
Yeah, well, don't curse us. We'll adjourn at
Well,
10:20. Oh,
I
Well-
want to add one thing.
sure.
Yeah.
We are nearly done with financial statements.
Nice. Yes. Is that, and then we've got tax stuff coming. Everyone's W-2s and you guys are working on
Oh,
that
yeah.
too. That's in the next few days.
1099s and W-2s are right now.
Yeah, they're processing.
You guys, it never seems like a shortage of fun down in your office. There's always something. Budgets, tax.
Oh,
End
we're
of
about
year.
to go into budget season.
So we'll adjourn at 10:20.